I'm thrilled so many of you are here at the Bach Festival Town Hall reunion. It's been a unique and very difficult year for everybody. And yet here we all are, here to celebrate the Bach Festival and this music once again together. It was sad, to say the least, last year to not get to make music. But there has been a silver lining. Over the course of this year, I've had opportunity to have conversations with so many of you about the history of this festival and our heritage. And after all of that, I'm left with one clear thought, which is pretty good for me. One clear thought is an achievement. And that is this. Bach Festival celebrates Bach's music, and it celebrates Bach's life and Bach's legacy. But it also celebrates this community. Year after year, we gather together to have a reunion, this big Bach family. We come together to see friends and family and classmates, and to live vicariously through the students that are performing on stage that year. And you might remember when it was you up there performing on the very same music on the very same stage. From my point of view, there's nothing more important than that. It's the music that is connecting us and the music that is creating this community. So I thank you for your devotion to this festival and what it means. We have an easy agenda today. In a moment, we'll hear from Susan Van Vorst, Dean of the Conservatory, and she will share a little bit of good news and explain how we have managed to thrive in this year of pandemic and remote teaching. And then I'll share a little bit about this year's Bach Festival and the B minor Mass that we're going to hear tonight, and give you just a little bit of a preview of next year's Bach Festival as well. We'll have some time to go into little breakout rooms where you can get to know each other a little more directly. And mostly, friends, it's just time for us to be together and just so we have this community time with one another. So with that, I thank you and welcome you and introduce Susan Van Vorst.
Wonderful. Thanks, Dirk. It is, my heart is absolutely leaping out of my chest. This has been the most exciting thing that's happened all year, right here. It is so good to be in community and to see you all, and the collective love that is emanating out of my computer screen. I feel like the whole thing's going to just explode. This is so joyful, and thank you for being here. And I just want to hug you each. It's just really so frustrating to be here and you there and your little tiny faces. So lots more to announce, but as we look at the weeks ahead, I just want to alert you that there is a lot upcoming and many, many ways for you to engage before now and the end of the year. The wind bands, the percussion ensemble, the symphony orchestra, the BW Men's Chorus, they all have virtual presentations upcoming in the next few weeks. And it really does feel like spring at the conservatory. There's a lot going on. You can feel the busyness, even though we don't have live performances in our concert halls yet. So do join us. We will finish the year strong and with flair, and there's so much to celebrate. So thanks so much for catching up with me. And Dirk, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Susan. So when we realized that we would not, again, for the second year in a row, be able to have live music at the conservatory, and we started thinking about what we wanted to do, we thought it would be a great opportunity to dive deeper into our history and to our heritage. And over the past year, then, I've conducted interviews with so many of you that are here today, and learned so much about this festival and what it has meant over the years. Those were all released as podcasts over the last 5 or 6 weeks or so, and you can find all of them as you can everything else at conversation.bw.edu. So if you miss them, you can watch them there, or if you want to watch them again, you can do that too. I thought I'd share a little bit about what we can learn from a little bit from each of those interviews. So the project started with, well, the only place that it can start, with the 39-year artistic director of the Bach Festival, Maestro Dwight Oltmann. And if you've watched the interview, you know the theme that kept coming back, and that was collaboration. And it is. Bach Festival is a massive collaboration in the obvious way that I get to collaborate with my faculty colleagues and the orchestra director, Dr. Suhan, and all the soloists and the various guest artists that come. And most importantly, of course, our students. I get to collaborate with them every year. But equally important, or I guess you could argue more importantly, are the people that really make the festival go and take care of all the administration of the festival. And that's all headed by Wonder Woman Erica Haskell's team. And that includes Jenny Taraba and Megan Kuhar and Bill Herzl, all of whom this year particularly were essential to all of the technology and the design of the virtual festival that we're having, not just for Bach Festival, but really for the whole conservatory. And then of course, Paul Carey, who was central this year. He is every year, but this year he really went above and beyond, collecting recordings and making sure everything was done right. And of course, Susan Van Voorst, our dean, a more supportive dean you will not find. So we thank all of you. And I do personally as well, and I know everyone here does. So Maestro Oltmann reminds us that this is a collaborative effort every year to make this come off. I got to speak then with Stuart Raleigh, my predecessor as director of choral studies for many, many years. And if you know Stuart, you know that he is full of stories. He is hysterical, and he has a rich musical history that he shares in such a beautiful and meaningful way. The scores that we lend our students every year, that we hand out to the choirs, we've used those for 20 and 30 years. We replace them as needed, but the old scores are full of all of Stuart's stories and quips and funny phrases. And some year I'm going to go through and catalog them all so that they're all written down somewhere because they're just hysterical. So from Stuart Raleigh, we learn to treasure this. We learn to not take this for granted. So Maestros Oltmann and Raleigh together provided amazing leadership and vision for this festival for decades. And we're deeply grateful for that. Then I got to speak with 3 alums from the class of 1957, and this was a really special interview. It was just amazing to hear their memories and their recollections and their shenanigans, which reminds us that truly some things never change because it's the exact same things my students do today. This interview with these remarkable women clearly reminds us how important this community is and how it spans decades. And they, like all of you here, are our legacy. I got to sit down with some of my colleagues, faculty members here at BW that have been playing for the festival for longer than I've been at Baldwin Wallace. And we are so fortunate to have incredible performing faculty at BW, and we just hired some more this year, as Susan just said. But maybe more important is that they're amazing teachers and devoted teachers. So you hear them in the interview repeatedly saying that their greatest joy is sitting side by side with their students every year and watching the transformation happen in front of their eyes. So they are passionate about their students and their teaching. Finally, I got to speak with some more recent graduates who are out singing professionally all over the world and conducting and teaching. And remarkably, that interview doesn't sound a whole lot different than the interview with the alums from 1957. And that's because the music making experience is timeless. And this shared experience is why we keep coming back to Bach Festival, to witness the next iteration of this music making. I came to BW because of this festival, and I'm deeply grateful to be a part of it. So our major work for this year is the virtual Mass in B minor retrospective. And y'all, this was so much fun to put together. It was just an emotional time putting the whole thing together for months and months for me. It was really beautiful. And what I did for this, and with the help of Paul Carey and Bill Herzl and Erica and that whole crew, is we went back and pulled all of our recordings that we've made of Mass in B minor, which go all the way back to 1955. And we digitized all of that media. And I went through them all and selected movements from each of those recordings and put them in chronological order. And so what you get then is, for example, you get the Kyrie and the Christe from the 1955 recording. And then you have to skip a little bit just because of technology to 1971. So we missed two Mass in B minors. And you hear a couple movements from 1971 and a couple movements from 1975 and a couple movements from 1979 and so on. And it's just remarkable to hear the consistency of the musical performances, always at such a high level. And I'm so struck, still when I hear it today, I'm struck by the devotion that we have all had to this music and to this festival for so long. And on top of that, you really get a history lesson about the history of recording technology, because we decided to keep in all the pops and crackles and noises that were there on the older recordings. And you can hear, the older recordings were made on reel-to-reel tapes and then pressed into vinyl discs just for posterity. And then a little bit later, it was reel-to-reel tapes to cassette tape. And you can hear it. You can hear the change in that technology. And then, of course, digital tape to CD, and then maybe directly to CD. And then now all digital all the time. And you'll hear that change over the course of the recording tonight. It's pretty cool. And then if you're an opera person or a voice person, you're going to get a kick out of all of the singers that have been here. It's a who's who of opera throughout the 1960s and 70s and 80s and 90s. It's just incredible, all of the names and all the incredible singers that have been on this campus. So that kicks off at 7 tonight. And we were hoping that you'll enjoy it all together, somewhat as a concert event. But it'll be there anytime you want it at conversation.bw.edu. And all the program information is there if you scroll down, as is a slideshow of Bach Festival photos throughout the ages. So you can flip through photos and have a Bach tale and enjoy the music. And while you do that, I hope you'll chat. I'll be there. And if you have questions or thoughts, please share your memories while we listen. It's a great, great way to enjoy a concert without intruding on anyone's listening experience. So I look forward to that with you tonight. So next year, we are so hopeful that we'll be live next year. And we don't know. We don't know what the future will be, but we've already started planning, of course. So next year we come back to Christmas Oratorio with our students and our orchestra led by my dear friend, Dr. Suhan. for performance here in our campus. BWV, Cleveland's Bach Choir, will be back and will premiere the work of James Primish, the winner of the 50th anniversary composition competition for the RBI. And because we didn't get to do it last year, and we're very excited about that and other repertoire as well. And of course, there will be all of the other musical activities and concerts and master classes and the intellectual events that surround Bach Festival as well. So before we move into our breakout rooms and get to know each other just a little bit better, we'd love to field some questions. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, we'd be happy to answer them for you. You can, however you're comfortable, you can type them in the chat if you want, and I think Erica is monitoring the chat. Or you can raise your hand and hope that we see you. Or you could just unmute and start talking if you like. That would be fine too. No pressure, but if you had questions, we thought we'd let you ask them. Please, Ken. Unmute, Kenneth. Still muted, Kenneth.
Here we go. Thank you. As a boy growing up just a few miles away from here, I used to take advantage of the free seats that were available in the balcony and the back row or two, which are the choice seats today for hearing and seeing. But beloved tenor Glenn Schnitzky during the Passions was more than once the evangelist and also did all the arias, and that's probably the way it was back in the 18th century too. But who remembers how often that maybe was the case, that you just had one tenor soloist for the Passion?
Yeah, that's heavy duty. That's a lot of singing. That's incredible.
And I don't think it was his insistence. It was just that he was asked to do it and he did it. But it was a lot of singing.
Yeah, it's a lot of singing. Can't imagine. Any other questions?
I think.
All right. Oh, great.
Someone else go first.
Is the concert tonight going to be just audio recording or video recording as well?
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, nice to see you.
So nice to see you, my friend. So it's an audio recording, but there are slides to give you a little bit of programmatic information and all that. But no, it's just audio.
Wonderful.
This is absolutely not a question, but I didn't type it fast enough. When you catalog all the cool anecdotes and quips from the scores, you got to set that as music. That's a cool autoethnography piece about Bach Festival. I want to hear it. I want to see it. It was not a question, just a comment.
That's a great idea, Sean. Sarah.
Mine is also not remotely a question, but can you hear me? Is my audio working? Yes, okay. It's just a little joy expression. It's really, really wonderful to see everybody. And I'm once again sort of struck by one of the odd benefits of this time, which is that, like, you know, I live in Minneapolis and I would not usually get to experience Bach Festival and without, you know, driving 12 hours. And it's really, really wonderful to get to be in even a virtual room with everybody. And I have this tiny seed of a hope that that continues to be a part of how we experience community on the go forward, even when we are able to gather together in real time in space, that that we utilize the technology to be able to kind of cross state lines in our own living rooms a bit and see one another. And it's just a joy. I've been, you know, listening to the scores and paging through my score with all my notes in it all day. And it's just really wonderful. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Good to see you too, my friend. So everybody, if you're willing, share a little treasure you learned in your breakout rooms. Share something with the bigger community now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Mccamley. I suppose I will go ahead and start because I was just so moved by the fact that everyone in my group said the same thing that I felt and said, which is that, you know, our experience with Bach Fest wasn't just this sort of singular experience with one composer or with one piece, or just like, oh, what a cool concert to be a part of, as if it were like one event. It was actually this host of events and changes that happened, you know, within us during the process that helped us become better musicians, better collaborators, and more attuned to the collaboration process, which then influenced how we learned music and then how we taught music ever since. So instead of it just being like, oh, what a cool concert, how fun, it was actually this life-changing experience that expanded so far beyond even BW, decades now, because it's been 10 years since I graduated, which is crazy. Yeah, and I thought that was so beautiful.
Thank you, Erin. I love that, as you know.
Hi everyone.
Yeah, please, Sydney.
Sydney Jand again. In a similar vein, it was fun in our group to go back and think about how we carry Bach Festival or the memories of the music with us throughout, whether it's returning to the recordings or looking through our scores or just the way we make music or those different times in our life when we turn back to the music and see it. So that was interesting and cool to know, even having those that were a part of it in the 1950s versus those that were, you know, more recently graduated. So that's always nice to hear.
Nice to see you, Sydney. So one of the things that I talk about a lot when I talk about Bach Festival is it's amazing to me, and I didn't know this was going to happen, y'all. It's amazing to me what happens to the learning of the students right in front of my eyes. As soon as we start in January, we start Bach Festival in January. And you know, they'll start, especially my younger choir, they'll start the beginning of that year and we read the first chorale. You know, we start with a chorale and it's just cacophony. I mean, there are more wrong notes and rhythms than there are right notes and rhythms. And y'all, we're still, you know, you all know how much music this is. So 6 weeks later, we're still reading music. I mean, there's still music that we've never seen before. And now, 6 weeks later, they pick it up and it's darn close. And without any teaching, it's just the sheer amount of repertoire and the sheer amount of work that the students are doing that makes their skill level and their musical ability go up right in front of my eyes. As a teacher, it is, there's nothing I can compare it to. It's really amazing. Just remarkable.
On top of that, I feel like, hi, hello. The people that left and right of us as well, sitting in the choir, you know, that was a huge part of being able to so rapidly improve not only our knowledge of repertoire and our ability to sight read and to jump on in with this sometimes really difficult material, but also to expand on our musicality just by what we learn from the people who are next to us or behind us or, you know, around us and everybody who's singing. It was really a community where we would lift each other up and we would teach each other by, like, I guess, leading by example, which was one of my favorite things about being part of Motet choir in general, but especially Bach Fest. It was tiring at times and it was long rehearsals and we kind of leaned on each other and it's such a sense of community. Even now, some of us in our group were talking about alumni choir. I think it was Sydney that brought it up, and just how fascinating that was and how even today she was saying she saw some faces she recognized in the little squares from alumni choir back when. So it's a really beautiful full circle kind of thing.
For me too.
I'll share a little story that I have. So I was fortunate enough to participate in Bach Festival all 4 years of my BW career. And I started working with Erica, the powerhouse of the conservatory, as I said in my breakout room, my sophomore year. And then my junior year, I had a little bit of a stomach flu the week of Bach Festival. So after learning all the repertoire and everything, I was too sick to perform. So I watched it from the balcony in the little sound booth. And that was my first time actually watching the major work. And I don't know if it's true, but I might have learned more from watching it than, singing in it at the time. And I was like, oh, well, it's fine. It's my junior year. I still have the one in 2020 that will be fine. And the strangest thing happened. And so unfortunately I missed out on the last years, but still the community and the learning that happens every year, it's just extraordinary. And you can see it as there are 40 people here, and that just doesn't happen everywhere.
Piggybacking off of that story reminded me, I didn't even think about this until hearing your story about being in the audience. No one in my family is a musician, in my immediate family. So going to a conservatory was a little bit strange. My parents didn't really know, and I'm the youngest, so my siblings also didn't know. And we sang B minor my freshman year, and I really wanted my family to come to Bach Festival, and they were like, absolutely, of course we'll come because we support you. But they didn't know anything about it, and they didn't know what it meant, and they didn't know what it meant to me. And something about seeing that performance and their reactions, I was just catching up with my brother last night and told him, oh, I'm doing this town hall thing. And he was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I will never forget that performance. I will never forget hearing that music. And specifically us singing it at BW, they all have this very resonant experience with those performances.
Send them my love, Sean.
I too had an experience, I think my junior year maybe, of being sophomore and junior year, of being quite sick in the lead up to Bach Festival. And so in an attempt to be able to sing through it on the actual day, I also sat up in the balcony and just sort of kind of bobbed along with my score and read along, but got to watch, and it is an incredible learning experience, and allows you to sort of take in the magnitude of what it is that you're doing. And I shared this in my breakout group. I will fully admit that I happened into Bach Festival by complete wonderful accident. I came to BW for the music theater program, and admittedly a bit embarrassingly had no idea that it was a Bach school. And had sort of heard whispers of required choir involvement, but just thought, oh, that'll be nice. And then, and then I ended up in university choir my freshman year and motet my sophomore and junior, and no disrespect to my program, but had the most profound experiences of my college career in that rehearsal hall, in those performance spaces, singing that music. And it was life-changing, the best accident of my complete life. So much that we were talking about, being on motet tour, and 3 of us on my year of tour got tattoos on our day off because it was very meaningful to us. So it's just, and it's something that I do carry with me, and this has been shared, but something that I carry with me in every professional space that I walk into. And, I have my scores at home and look through them frequently, and, but it's been it's just a life-changing, wonderful experience. And it's such a gift to get to spend time in this space with you all.
Thank you, sir.
Now, besides Bethlehem and Baldwin Wallace, there's certainly a fraternity of Bach lovers throughout the world, and just here in North America, we were part of one in St. Louis. We were in Montreal, the Bach Society, the metropolitan New York area, and we support a Bach Collegium in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's deservedly world renowned. And I wanted to ask Susan or Dirk, is brother dear John Blocker still with us?
Susan, go ahead.
No, he's not.
Lord.
But the wonderful news is that the Motec choir sang to him on his 100th birthday.
Yeah.
We were in Cincinnati, and it was a very dear memory for all of us who were involved in that trip. The choir was on tour, and I can't tell you how joyful he was. You know, the Bach Festival and the choir and the choral program at BW, just a huge, huge, huge part of his life.
Friends, we should wrap this up. And this has been just an amazing time. Amazing to see you all, and to share this virtual space with you has been really meaningful. And I hope you feel that too. I look forward to next year where we can be together again in Gamble Auditorium. And I know that I'll see so many of you at future performances, and I hope to hear from you in email or any other way that you'd like to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. And I thank you for being here, and wish you all the best as we hopefully wrap up this pandemic and get back to normal life. And I'll see you at tonight, I hope, at B minor Mass at 7 o'clock, and next year at Christmas Oratorium. Goodbye, my friends.
There would be no Bach festivals without the Riemann Schneiders.